Hello children, Patanjali Rishikul, class 8. I welcome you all again to this science video. So children, today we are going to learn something new. And the topic is combustion and flame. What is combustion? Before we discuss this topic, let us talk about fire. What is fire? Fire is one of the most important discoveries by mankind. Early man first learned to produce fire that marked the existence of mankind, and this led to the major energy releasing mechanism on the earth. We use fire for cooking, heating, and keeping us warm. When we talk about fire, the materials that we use in order to burn, to produce heat, what are they known as? They are called as fuels. So we can say any material used to produce heat by burning is called fuel. What is combustion? The process of burning something is called combustion when we talk in simple terms, isn't it? Now, when we have to define what actually combustion is. So children, it is actually the chemical reaction in which the substance reacts with oxygen that is present in the air in order to produce heat as well as light. This process is called as combustion. When we talk about the substances that undergo the process of combustion or not, they are divided into two categories. One is combustible substance and the other one is non-combustible substance. Now, what do we understand by the combustible substances? Combustible substances are the substances that burn in air in order to produce light as well as heat. Such substances are called combustible substances, like for example, paper, wood, kerosene, LPG, etc. Non-combustible substances, substances that do not burn in air, produce light and heat. Such substances are called non-combustible substances. For example, water, sand, glass, cement, even metals. All these are examples of non-combustible substances. Now, let us learn about the conditions that are essential, that are necessary for the process of combustion to take place. So, the first thing is the presence of air or oxygen, isn't it? So, the presence of air or oxygen is essential for the process of combustion. Next is the presence of combustible substance. So, there should be a combustible substance that is known as fuel. Yes, children, here I would like to introduce that if we can also use the term fuel in place of combustible substance or combustible material. Okay, so fuel or combustible substance, it's the same thing. So there should be a presence of combustible substance. Next is attainment of ignition temperature. So what is actually this ignition temperature? Isn't it? That question must be rising in your mind. Now let us learn about what is ignition temperature. So children, ignition temperature is actually the minimum temperature at which the substance burns. Okay, this is known as ignition temperature. Next is firefighting. What were the three conditions necessary for the process of combustion to take place? Oxygen from air, attainment of ignition temperature, and presence of a combustible substances. Isn't it? These were the three things necessary for combustion to occur. This can be represented as a fire triangle. You can see in the figure. In order to fight a fire, either one or more of the following steps, they are helpful. The first thing is removing the combustible substance. The other one is cutting off the supply of air and cooling down the combustible substance below its ignition temperature. So, these three things can cut off the process of burning, or they can just stop fire. Fire can be very destructive. Every year you must have seen people, they lose their lives, so much of property just because of fire. You must have seen certain houses, factories or shops that have been burnt. So we need to learn how to control this fire in order to prevent such destructive accidents. There are many ways of controlling fire. Let us talk about few of them. The first one is using water. So you all know water is the most common fire extinguisher. It works by removing heat as well as oxygen from the combustible substance. As a result, the supply of air cuts off and the fire gets extinguished. Next is by using carbon dioxide gas as fire extinguisher. Definitely children, water is a good fire extinguisher, but the fire caused due to fabric, wood or paper, isn't it? But when the fire is caused due to the electric equipments, then it does not work. So carbon dioxide works by taking away oxygen and heat from the combustible substances in such cases. It is non-inflammable and heavier than oxygen, and it covers the fire like a blanket, and as a result the contact between the combustible substance and oxygen cuts off, and finally what happens? The fire gets controlled. Right? Fire extinguisher is a device that is used to control small fires that are caused due to electricity and yes, inflammable liquids like kerosene, petrol, diesel, etc. So children, today we have learned about what is combustion, what are combustible and non-combustible substances. We have also learned about the conditions that are essential for combustion and how we can control certain fire accidents, isn't it? So with this, I end the topic today. We'll meet again in the next video. Till then, take good care of yourself. Thank you children and see you soon.